what's up, everybody? Back with another edition of the Buck Junkies Podcast, and we got a special guest today with us, guys.
What's happening?
Hey, we got our buddy Matt Crick from the Mississippi Land Bank, and Matt has been helping folks buy their dream hunting properties for a while now, right?
That's right.
Kinda, when you think about the land bank, that's kind of what I think about is, purchasing tracts of land. So we're going to talk about that some today. Mark, what else we got to talk about?
Man, we got a lot to catch up on. I don't know if we discussed too much about kind of how the food plots are going and what we got going down here at the farm and stuff that's in the ground and stuff that's going to be in the ground. So I guess, heck, last week we got, we planted turnips, oats, wheat. We done about 40% of the plots. We still got some we left. We're kind of staggering them so we keep protein out there for them, but it's getting close.
Jamie, what you jumped on the tractor and got something in the ground last week out there, didn't you?
I was running disc last week and got a couple broke up, and then Mikey come behind me with the planter and
seeder.
Got it all done. We just need some rain.
Yeah, that's one thing. It ain't looking good.
No, it's
we got a couple more weeks.
Time soon.
We did time that right though, because we had rain last week for those. I hadn't been out there to see if anything's popped yet.
I know the turnips, they look real good. They're coming up good, but I hadn't looked since what went in the ground last week. But
I know we're officially out of velvet.
Yeah,
I hadn't seen a velvet buck in a week now. So they started. You can see them start shedding last week, and they're all of them are hardened up. And why do they shrink so much, Mark?
Everything looks big on camera. That's all it is.
You got any game cams out of your place, Matt?
I do. We've been running some. I got. I think on the last episode y'all talked about the cell cams, or maybe a previous episode. But luckily, I've got good enough service at my place to run those, and it's nice to check it on your phone. It's pretty convenient these days. But so I try to run some. About the middle of the summer is usually about the only time I take them up, but I'll put them out, this time of year and get them going and leave them out through the season.
Got anything
in the mood?
Yeah. Got anything getting you excited?
Well, the last few years I've noticed it's a little anticlimactic because you'll have the bucks, they'll, herd up this time of year. So you'll get tons of good pictures and you'll have 5 or 6 bucks in a shot. And then, come hunting season, they kind of dissipate and go there.
That's exactly what we're seeing there. We had them all grouped up. There'd be 3 or 4 bucks together here just a couple weeks ago. And now, I guess when that velvet comes off, they start getting spry.
Game on.
They start scrapping around a little, and those little bachelor groups have kind of start breaking up. But we still got a little ways to go. I guess bow season opens, next week?
October 1st. So yeah.
Won't be long.
So did y'all do the velvet season?
No, I ain't fighting mosquitoes.
Yeah, that's me.
So it ain't worth it to kill one.
We were up in Illinois this past weekend, and we actually met them last year. Group of guys got a farm up there in Illinois on the Mississippi River, and they got some pretty good studs on camera. And it's a pretty good farm. And they was like, "Man, y'all bow hunt?" I'm like, "You ain't never bow hunted in Mississippi. I ain't fighting mosquitoes. Ain't happening." So
we tried to work out a Illinois hunt crappie fish swap out.
Yeah.
Oh, we can do that now.
We got.
That's what the guy was disappointed. He crappie fished all the time at Arcabutla, and he didn't know it was drained.
Oh man, yeah. You know how many people come down just for that to fish the crappie?
Because I want to say, Arcabutler still holds a state record crappie, if I remember right. I don't think Sardis or Grenada or any of them beat it yet, but yeah, he was pretty tore up about it. He's like, "Man, I had no idea," and so. But that's what I told him. He's like, "What? Why?" He asked why we didn't bow hunt, and I was like, "Well, mosquitoes." And I was like, "Really? We kind of enjoy the atmosphere of opening day." And I was like, "Bow hunt's kind of like." You're leading up to it, but it takes the fun out of opening day too, where everybody's first time going in the woods to sit,
That's
so
right.
we try to hold off as much as we can.
I'm gonna at least let it frost.
Yeah, at least once.
Then it'll be game on. But John, before we get too far, you mentioned earlier we were kind of doing a little pre-prep, talking to Rob. You want to touch on that?
Yeah, Rob Hoff, he's the guy that operates the Arcabutla, or he gets everybody an application for the Arcabutla Physically Challenged Hunt, and he said, man, he's had a couple people reach out this year just from listening to us on the podcast. And, man, if anybody needs to, reach out to me at jamie@killerhogs.com, or I can put you in touch with Rob. You can go to Rob Hoff on Facebook, HOFF is his last name, or to go to Arcabutla Physically Challenged Hunt. They got a Facebook page also. And just if somebody qualifies for it, just let them know. Or if you're willing to help out for the weekend, just reach out to us.
And there's two separut weekends. They try to do that hunt, depending on how many people.
Yes, it'll be the first weekend, the second weekend of December, and it averages probably 30 hunters. So you're looking at 70 different hunters through the 2 weekends.
Yeah. I'm gonna tell you right there, that's prime time, and where we're at in Mississippi.
It is.
Those 2 weeks. Now I think that is a muzzleloader hunt though, because it's on the government land, right?
It's going to be muzzleloader or like a 35 Whalen. A lot of guys hunt
Straight wall cartridge.
Straight wall cartridge.
Yeah, you can't hunt with like a high powered rifle and nothing like that. But shotgun, muzzleloader, or the I guess whatever caliber you call it. Whatever Mississippi calls like the 45.
The primitive.
Yeah.
Anything before the 1900 cartridge or whatever. But
But if anybody's out there listening and you're physically challenged, but you want a shot to get out and outdoors, that's a great time to come to Mississippi. And they got a bunch of great volunteers. Jamie, you've been volunteering.
To do it for, I guess it'd be my 4th or 5th year this year. And man, it's people from all over the United States show up for this hunt just for, like I say, 3 or 4 day hunt, and they love it.
And two, man, if anybody out there wants to volunteer for it, go for it, because it is humbling. It is a good time. You get to hear some stories, and it's all. Last year was my first year to really be down there and be a part of it, and I won't miss it. Like it's a dang good time, and man, it's a lot of good people in this world that help out. And if you want to be a part of that, man, jump on board. Reach out to Rob.
All right.
And I haven't been heavily involved in it. I'd like to get with you guys on that, but I've seen some stuff on it, and I know you can help out in all sorts of ways. They prepare a bunch of food, right?
Cooking meals, getting guys in out of the stand, bringing them lunch. A lot of guys, and man, they're tougher than me. They'll be in a wheelchair and they'll sit in that thing from daylight to dark.
Yeah.
We'll carry them a meal during the day. But no, it's definitely a good.
Yeah,
time.
I've seen food lists and stuff go out before, so I figured they prepared food, made it.
It is.
Big
You
production,
eat good too.
The only problem is we're worried about the government shutdown, man. Y'all need to contact your politicians and tell them to get to work get this passing this bill so they don't shut down the parks, because they shut down the parks. Not only is that going to knock a lot, handicap hunts, things like that. People are doing government funded things, but I don't know what it's going to do to government land. If there's some places where you hunt that might get shut down if
very well
these politicians don't get on board. So
no, it's sad. This ought to be no question to ask. It ought to be a supported thing, anything to help out somebody that needs it, and it's tough that you got to wait and see what the government tells you what you can and can't do sometimes. But
I agree. Well, Matt, let's talk about the land bank, man. First off, tell us what the land bank is and how it's different than a regular lending bank where we all got checking and savings account.
Yeah, so we're the Mississippi Land Bank's a Farm Credit Association. So like we talked about, the good thing about this discussion we have, Farm Credit's a nationwide system. So not to get off in the weeds, but we were established by Congress. Don't quote me on the date. I think it was 1916. I may get riddled in the comments by my lender buddies on that. I should know, but I'm pretty sure I'm right on that. But we were established originally to provide credit and capital to rural America. And that's exactly what we do today. Just we provide capital and credit to farmers, ranchers, aquatic producers, forestry needs, anything all the way down to your small recreational, track or guy out there looking for, land like that. But so that's what we're here for. And we provide just an array of financial services, not just, financing for land, but we do, equipment loans, production loans, just cover the whole gamut really. But
well, when I first started Land Bank, I thought it was just for farmers or ranchers or something, someone like that trying to produce a product some kind of way.
Yeah.
That's how they used it for financing. But can anybody that's in the state go to one of their local land banks and talk to them?
That's right. There's some not confusion, but a lot of people just don't know that. We can handle anything for anybody for the most part, whether it's a large farm or a production loan for an agricultural producer, or just a guy looking to go buy 20 acres to hunt on and enjoy for recreation. We can handle their needs. So anybody can be a potential borrower. And the good thing about it is Farm Credit, as I said, it's a nationwide system. So if you go to, findfarmcredit.com, doesn't matter where you're listening right now, there's a Farm Credit Association out there that can help you out.
So when you're trying to buy a piece of land and you go talk to the land bank, what kind of process, or can you step us through what it would be like for somebody to?
Yeah, it's an easy process. I know the number one comment I think that we get is, especially your small recreational guys, I've never done this before, don't know where to start, things like that. And it's a lot easier than people may think. they can, there's a couple different ways to go about it. If you've got a property you're interested in, you can come to us and we can dive into that. Or if you're just unsure of the process and you haven't found a place that you're interested in, you can, come talk to us about financing there, and we can go through the loan structure with you and tell you what we can do to help out. But it's a easy process to get started. And like I said, we can help anybody. It doesn't matter if it's 10 acres or 1,000 acres.
What's the smallest one you've done?
Well, I closed a deal a couple weeks ago for 2.5 acres.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
prime hunting land?
Yeah.
Man, that's one of them. That's one of them jam up turkey spots. I bet
30-30 or 12 gauge.
Yeah.
So y'all also
you can drive that one.
Well, it's like Mark and I were talking about earlier. You might have a little 5-acre tract in the middle of a 200-acre tracts, and it might be just the prime spot. So
no land is too small. Right?
That's
no
right.
tracts too small.
And y'all also do like shareholders and big hunting clubs.
That's right. We can also do stockholder memberships. Now, those are kind of case by case. There are a lot of those clubs out there, and we have several of those financed. And
so in Mississippi, y'all do like the river clubs is what you're talking about.
That's right. In Mississippi, the familiar ones are Hardin Point or Cow Island, or there's several of them out there. But yeah, that's an option too. And there's, like I said, a lot of them out there. But yeah, we actually do those as well.
How do you value, like, say, I know, man, we see price tags on some of those of $250,000. $100,000, whatever, $500,000. How does somebody like the land bank put a value on something like that and say, yeah, it's worth it to loan you this much money? I mean,
yeah, it gets kind of tricky. So we have on staff appraisers, and we really lean on those guys. We've got an awesome appraisal team, just like all associations out there. And you just kind of got to go off historical sales and what they've sold for. Those bigger clubs. Fortunately, a lot of them turn over, so we can look at those historical sales and see what they sold for in the past. But it's definitely a tougher deal than just your standard land purchase or something like that. But
so when you're doing like one of these, any kind of land loan, do you have to have a percentage down? Is that what y'all are looking for, or how's that part work?
That's right. So our standard percentage down would be 15%. We can loan up to 85% of your appraised value, your purchase price. So that's typically our standard underwriting guidelines there. Again, and that it's case by case, on some of your larger deals, what that may be scaled back a little differently, but your standard guy that's purchasing a recreational tract, just I'd call average size or even a smaller size, about 15% down is what you're looking at there.
So you said recreational tract. So can any piece of land be a recreational tract, or what is the requirements for that?
There's not really any hard, fast requirements, I'd say. As long as it's out in the county,
not in the city limits.
Not in the middle of the city limits. I'd say you really get into some case by case basis there. But yeah, if you're out in the county, rural North Mississippi or just anywhere for that matter, we can usually qualify it and make it work.
So as opposed to like buying a row crop land or tree farm, I mean, any of those can still be considered recreational tract, or?
That's right. I mean, your standard recreational tract around here is usually going to be a pasture woodland mix or just a woodland tract or something like that. Cut over. That's we've seen a lot of those here lately, but yeah.
So how does that affect the value of cutover? Because I know that's kind of one of the things, like timber rights and all that. Like, as far as what do y'all look for to consider it a value land or something worth what that customer might be looking for?
Yeah, so with cutover sales, so typically you've got your timberland value and then your bare land value. So when all that timber's been harvested and taken off on there, you're just kind of left with your bare land value, and that's always, usually you've taken the timber off the property, which is, I don't say devalued the property, but your value is going to be a little bit lower when you're just looking at a bare land tract that's been cut over, hadn't been replanted or anything like that. So it's those cut over tracts that have been harvested typically don't demand as high of a price as if you've got just a woodland tract or something of that nature.
That's what gets me. I've been seeing, like, you'll see some land and it'll be all cut over and they'll still be asking $3,000 or $4,000 an acre for it, and I just figure like the land bank's not going to value, at that market value for land that's just pretty much been, wrecked.
Like you say, wrecked. Like most of the ones we've seen here locally, it looks like a bomb went off.
Yeah,
like I mean, you're going to spend thousands of dollars just to even try to get in there to it to see it. You know. Yeah. It's
it's definitely one thing you got to take into account. You know, if you're out there looking at a property, and if you own a property and you're interested, and we have on staff foresters, so those would be your go-to guys. But and that's the good thing about farm credit associations and the land bank specifically is we've got, you're not coming to us just for a loan. We've got on staff registered foresters. We've got a team of licensed appraisers that can come out, help and advise you. And if you have a property you're interested or you need to get some timber cut or something like that, it's always good to, just like anything else, do your homework. There's people out there, you want to use, and maybe outfits to stay away from, just like anything else. And you want to make sure those guys are using the best management practices and leave the property, as good as they possibly can. So you can, take it from there and rebuild, replant, and, get it back going.
It's definitely not getting cheaper.
No, it's not. That's the one thing. Even these cutover tracks is what people are wanting for them. It's crazy how high they are now.
So we were kind of talking about Indiana. I got a good friend up there. And so how would it work, say that we live down here, but we wanted to buy a track in Indiana? Could we go through somebody local to us, or do we have to go to local up there?
Either way. So whenever you're crossing state lines like that, so we are chartered associations in certain territories, but we can go across state lines. And usually I tell people if the borrower or the collateral is located in our chartered territory, then we can typically make that work. And then what we do is, if you're looking at a property in Indiana, we would reach out to the Chartered Farm Credit Association in Indiana there, notify them. But that's how that works. But you could go either way with that. You could call us, and we would probably work through them, from an appraisal standpoint and studying that market area up there. Or you could call a lender up there and go that route.
You buying 2 acres in Indiana?
I might do it.
So you can find a honey hole.
Yeah. So all right, talking about that, like, this might not even have nothing to do with the land value, but like you always hear about big deer in Illinois and Indiana and stuff like that. Does that affect the value? Does the actual herd of the deer or the animal that you're kind of going for, does it affect the value of the land?
Yeah, I don't. So here in North Mississippi, we don't really have that come into play. Now, I know like in some of these, in some of these ranches out in Texas and things like that, and maybe so in Indiana, I don't know, that might play a factor. It's really getting kind of out of our wheelhouse because here in Mississippi, we don't really run into that. But
so we ain't got no monsters.
Y'all may not value it that way, but these people selling it value it that way.
Yeah, and in here, it's usually accounted for in the value as far as the sales price. Just like here, if you've got a hunting track or a hunting club that's a premium spot, it's usually accounted for in the price. So, maybe it's got some trophy deer on it that you can't really value that on paper, and that happens some, but, just from a sales price standpoint, that's, maybe factored in.
So how often do you see people come at you, probably specifically for recreational tracks, where they've got a sale price that's way higher than what the land bank appraises it at, what money you're willing to loan on it? How often do you see that happen to where?
You'd be surprised. Not too terribly often. Like I said, our appraisal staff is really good about, getting out there and leaving no stone unturned as far as what's sold out there in the market, and really doing their homework on historical sales and things like that. So we don't have that happen as often as you think. Now, you do run into some tough situations, especially like the last couple of years. The market's been so hot, and when you're appraising a property and you're basing it off of historical sales data, and the market's increasing so fast, it can be tough. But it doesn't happen as often as you think, and it's really. In that case, it boils down to, it doesn't necessarily disqualify the property. If you find a property that we fall short on the appraisal, and you're in love with it for whatever reason, maybe it adjoins you, and there are factors there that may make that property worth more to you than it would your typical person, your typical buyer. Then you may just have to come out of pocket a little more money, but it doesn't necessarily disqualify you from.
So my tract here was kind of like that. We bought the first piece where we have the camp now, but then there was a back piece that they were breaking off a larger tract, and it was bounded by a ditch. So I was like, man, that'd be great because it touches us. To me, it was worth, probably more than what asking value was. And so that's when I came to y'all and talked about it, and we ended up working the deal out to where it worked great. But it's a perfect instance of that, because to me, that land was worth more because it made my track bigger and it touched my track, and it was kind of bound. So it was easy for us to take that piece of land in. And I could see how, that would be worth if I had to make up the difference up, or if the land bank had to work with me on getting that.
That's right. And you run into that a lot on adjoining landowner purchases. Like you just said on that one, it's, if you were looking at that track as a standalone track, maybe you give the property access and it connects you, so it's worth more. Whereas if you're looking at it as a standalone property, or I'm coming in, or anybody looking at it, it doesn't have, road access or something like that. So it's not worth as much to me as it may be to you. So you run into those cases from time to time. But
so does the land bank pretty much help you evaluate? Like if I located a tract of land, I'd call you up and say, hey, Matt, I'm thinking about buying this land. What do you think?
That's right. Yeah, we like to think of ourselves as land experts. That's what we're here for, not just to sit down and just a place you come to just for a loan. We can help you out. Like I said, we've got, who I mentioned on staff, and we can come out and sit down with you and look at the property and help advise, things you may look for, or what we look for when we're appraising a property or something like that. Because that is the good thing about us in Farm Credit. We do a lot of things in-house that most your commercial lenders don't do, for appraisals, for instance. So we're used to, looking at things like that from that perspective. We keep an extensive sales database. We keep our thumb on the market, what things are going for, so we can help advise our borrowers, in any way. So
that's really helpful.
Yeah, it's like one-stop shop. You're not dealing with, you call him, he called me, and back and forth.
That's right.
Y'all are, all connected together. So
that's right. And it especially comes in, from a logistical standpoint, if you've got a purchase that needs to go through quickly or something like that, the less people involved, the better.
Right. Quicker it's going to be and smoother.
Yeah. And if we need to push and get something done fast in-house, we can. So it definitely is a benefit to the borrower for sure.
So what about, like, say you got a group of guys, like, we wanted to form a club and we wanted to buy a piece of land as a group. Do y'all work with members like that?
Yeah, absolutely. We have that happen all the time. If you've got a group of guys, there's plenty of ways to do it, but you can form an LLC or go to your local attorney or whoever used to advise you from a legal standpoint of the best structure to use there. But yes, we can make a loan to an entity, and we do that all the time. So if you've got a group of guys that have gotten together and they found a recreational property or hunting tract that they want to go buy, they can, form an entity, and we can make that entity a loan.
I could see that being real beneficial. Like, so you ain't got to come up with all the money.
That's right.
As a collective or a group, you could come up with that 15%.
That's right.
Maybe get a little bigger tract of land, or a little prime piece of property or something. So
that's right. Yeah, and people do it every day, and it works well.
Dang, where's the paperwork at?
You ready to get pre-approved, Jamie? Yeah. You're going to need a pre-approval.
We might break the record for the half acre, something like that.
We can start up that half acre hunting club.
Yeah.
We can afford that, can we, Mark?
Yeah. There, you got your LLC name right there. So.
Half acre hunting club, LLC.
So what about purchasing equipment? You touched on that briefly a while ago. Say, you've already got a club, or you got some land that you're working on. It doesn't have to be a group of people; it could be individual. But you want to purchase, say, a tractor and a seeder, or something that's going to help you improve that land. How does Land Bank help out in an area like that?
Yeah, as Jamie mentioned, we really are a one-stop shop, because obviously, as you guys are well aware here with the little hunting club you've got here, you buy some land or a recreational property, you're going to need some equipment to take care of it. And we, as I mentioned earlier, we finance equipment. Land improvement loans, just anything, whether it's a tractor or, just anything you may need to go along with that property to help you,
What about like camp or a house or some kind of structure, shop? Do y'all do like construction type loans to get those started too?
We do. We sure do. We do, construction loans, whether it's a barn, a shop, a little camp house or whatever it may be. We've got you covered. So
do they roll that into like a more traditional loan at the end of it, or?
Well, you've got some options. So with us, we're pretty streamlined on that. So usually how the process works is a guy goes out, they find their recreational property, we make a loan on it, and then they come back, and that's when they start planning what kind of equipment they need. What, do they want to structure on it, a shop or somewhere they can stay or something like that. And then we'll come back in and make, what we call a supplemental loan for whatever you may need, whether it's, a tractor loan or, some sort of improvement or something like that. And then, of course, you've got options. When you get into conventional mortgages, that gets kind of tough on what may or may not qualify there. But with us, if you were just keeping everything in house, you would just have supplemental loans for whatever you may need, and you can keep it like that, for the duration of the loan, or if you just wanted to consolidate some things, if we made you an improvement loan or something like that, we could come back if there was a need to consolidate that. Maybe interest rates dropped, we might consolidate that, get you a better rate across the board or something like that.
So I know rates are like crazy high right now, higher than they have been in years. And would you say the land bank gets better rates than if you go to a regular traditional bank to borrow money, or what's the advantage of, say, using the land bank over going to your regular bank?
Yeah, I would like to think we are super competitive on rates with the way we're funded, being a part of Farm Credit. So we're funded through the sale of Farm Credit bonds, so that's how we get our funding. And we try to stay on top of the market and offer our borrowers the most competitive rates they can find in the market. So that's the good thing about us with the way we're funded. We can offer, and that's kind of what we were set up to do. And so it's good for the borrower.
Yeah. I know when you spoke about refinancing, I think you save some fees if you have a land bank when you see rates drop or you get a chance to refinance or something.
We really are kind of very unique from top to bottom, and we offer a ton of flexibility that you may not find in other financial institutions. And what Malcolm's talking about is we offer rate conversion. So if most financial institutions, they make you think of refinance, you maybe refinanced your mortgage or something like that in the past. You've got to go back through the process. Go through another loan closing. It's kind of like hitting restart, but with us, we offer options to get you, a better deal without having to go through that process. We've got a simple conversion application. It's a one-page application that we do and send that out and can get you in a better deal without sending you back through the process and paying, fees and things like that.
That's good to know. They're kind of on your side. Yeah, I did. I financed my home before when rates got low. You got to jump through a lot of hurdles.
Yeah. And back to your point about competitive rates, I'll touch on our biggest thing that we really are proud of is our patronage program. And again, this is consistent for Farm Credits across the board. So that's where we really set ourselves apart, is our patronage program. And I know, Malcolm, you're familiar with that. You've gotten those checks in the mail. But what that is, so we're and I should have mentioned this on the front end, but we're a private farm co-op. So we're owned by our borrowers, and that's what makes us unique in our structure. And with that, we at the end of the year refund our profits back to our borrowers in the form of a patronage or dividend. And that's a really unique program that you won't find anywhere else, and that really helps out from a rate standpoint. That's a refund check that you get from us.
What it does is it knocks almost a percentage.
That's
off,
right.
Is what
that's
I
right.
see from it. And that's like every year you count. I hadn't had a year yet where there hasn't been some kind of funding from that come in. So
right.
It just makes you're paying your notes all year, but when you get that back, you can apply it to it. And really, it's what it's done is it dropped your note down, or your rate down, and so you pay it off a little bit quicker.
That's right.
Hope you brought some applications.
Yeah, we did 3 side by sides. So
You brought my laptop in here.
So Matt, this is kind of like from your standpoint, not necessarily land bank, but thinking about if you had someone who wanted to purchase some land one day, what would you suggest them start doing to work towards that? And what should they be looking for too? And for a hunting property, like what would you look for?
Yeah. So as far as a credit underwriting standpoint, there's a few, as we mentioned, it's an easier process than one might think, and don't overcomplicate things. There's just a few key points. If you're getting prepared, or you think one day you may be interested in purchasing your own recreational property. I know that's, every hunter's dream to have their own place to go to and hunt and raise, take your family and just enjoy it for recreation. But I would say the biggest thing, we talked about, your down payment. Save up for that, or if you've got that, that's one key point to have in place as you go out and start looking in the market. Another thing, just that we look at is just the ability to repay your loan. Just whatever your budget may be, just being able to show that you have the ability to repay that loan and get you qualified for a loan. And then, a credit score standpoint, obviously every financial institution is going to look at that, keep your thumb on that, especially these days with technology and, the things you run into there, just keep a check on that. I would say we run into, it doesn't happen a lot, but from time to time there may be things out there on folks' credit that they didn't even realize was there. So I would suggest just keep your thumb on that. And, if you've got those three things, you're really set. So,
guess that's pretty easy.
What's that?
It's pretty easy from that standpoint.
Yeah.
You got good credit, you pay your bills.
Yeah. That's
good. Some money.
Do you see many people flipping land like I know several years ago, I know a couple guys, they'd go in and buy 200 or 300 acres, put a road through it, some food plots, a couple of deer stands, and turn around and flip it. You see people doing that as often now as it was, or? Yeah,
with the market the way it is, I think it's a little tougher on some of these guys, but I think in your area, you probably got your guy that everybody's heard of, or maybe a certain groups that's what they do. You don't see a ton of people that just one-off deals that they try to flip a property or something like that. Usually it's the people that's what they do for a living. And a part of farm credit, one of the few things that we can't qualify is speculation. So we can't, lend money on, land speculation or
hopefully
somebody.
It's going to bring this amount I paid this for it, but it's going to bring this.
That's right. That's right. So we don't really get into that. But yeah, there are guys out there that's what they do for a living. So, and I'm sure all areas have those guys.
So does the land bank actually have farms or tracts of land that y'all have up for sale or anything like that, or is it strictly just a lender?
We don't. We're strictly just a credit association, so we don't have any listings or do anything like that. So that's where I would say lean on your local realtor, and usually in your area there's outfits out there. I know here in North Mississippi, there's some really great outfits that specialize in recreational properties, agricultural properties, things like that. So, these days you can find most everything on the internet. I would say, there are some good general land listing websites out there. Check those out, and you can find, a good land realtor to lean on there. But we don't actually get into, listing properties or anything like that. We're just there to handle the financing piece of it.
I bet people call you on it though all the time.
Oh yeah. We get everybody wants to know about foreclosures, and buy a foreclosed property, which luckily with our credit quality, we've been fortunate enough. We don't have to deal with that often.
You don't want to answer them phone calls.
No, it's not good when when you have to deal with that. But yes, we do get those calls from time to time.
So what land do you have?
Yeah, so
I've actually got a property not far from here in Como, Mississippi. So just a few miles down the road. So
is it a recreational tract?
It is. I bought it a few years ago. Just same deal with the dream of owning my own place. I'm not originally from Mississippi. I've been here long enough to call myself a Mississippian, but I'm originally from Northwest Tennessee. So same deal, just with the dream of being able to have a place to go to that I can take my little boy to. My wife likes to get out in the outdoors and just, do your own thing. Go out there and enjoy it. You don't have to worry about, fighting the general public or
rules and regulations.
Yeah. So
what have you done to it so far?
So,
y'all deer hunting? And
we do. It's a pretty diverse property. So I've got CRP pine on the property, which is really cool. I get to work with some of the guys, the forestry guys in the office, and get advice from them, and so that's been fun to kind of get my feet wet on that. It's just I've got some pasture land that I've done some stuff with, good food plot areas, and then the latest thing, and we can touch on this as far as, once you get into a property, you got your property purchase, you've got your equipment, whatever you may need. There's programs and different things out there that are resources in your area that I would encourage people, whether that's through USDA or NRCS, helping you get things done, whether you've got CRP pine on your property that you need to have thinned, or you've got mine was kudzu. I had a bottomland field, about 8 or 10 acres, that was overrun with kudzu. I've got a watershed on my property that is fed by a big ditch, and unfortunately the previous owners, they just, how kudzu is, it'll get away from you pretty quick.
We're fighting it here, same thing.
And a lot of people don't know if there are programs out there for that. So I actually was able to get some cost share money and have that sprayed. So that's been my latest project I've been trying to tackle, is kudzu eradication.
I got to get with you on that, man, because this is the second year we've been spraying it. We whooped it back a little bit last year. But, I think it's going to take a couple of years, it seems like.
Yeah, they say it's I know enough now to be dangerous about it, but there's definitely a science to it. And, you've really got, it's a 3-year program, I think, that, it's some tough stuff. And there's a certain chemical, a certain time of year. I know I had to have a forestry service come out with a skidder sprayer that I think over the course of 2 or 3 days in I would say 8 to 10 acre area, they sprayed 2,700 gallons of chemical and water. You really got to soak it down. You got to catch it at the right time of the year, and you just got to keep hitting it.
Yeah, it's usually August, September, right? This time you spray it.
That's right. And they say you can spray it up until the first frost, but I think the prime time, like you said, is August through the end of September.
Well, that's been what we've experienced. It's coming out of a ditch, and it's done growed underneath the road system we got there and got in the pines.
Yeah, and
you don't want it in your. Is that what? Are you seeing the same thing?
Yeah, exactly. And that was the biggest thing too. Trying to get the bottomland field back under control to where I can use it, plant food plots. And now it's just wasted land. And then same thing. It was creeping into my pines. It'll just overtake them. And I did find out from the previous owner that at one point in time, this field I've got it was planted in pine, and the kudzu came in and took it over and killed all the trees. They were young trees. So it's important to get it under control. And like I said, there are tools and resources out there that, you can use, and I would encourage folks to do that. So,
and we found that out. We didn't know it was all the state programs or even, like biologists, they're willing to come out. We didn't know all that stuff to start with.
Yeah, if you and same here, and I'm just getting into it, and you'd be amazed at all the programs through the different entities out there. And another one mentioned in the pine. So my next project is, prescribed burning. I know you guys have got some pine that you may want to look into that, and there's even programs through the Mississippi Department of Wildlife, Fisheries, and Parks. Actually, there's an open application out there now, and I found out they just opened it up for our counties here in Tate, and my property's in Panola for, I think, the first time ever. Usually it was done or available in South Mississippi. But if you get on the Mississippi Department of Wildlife, Fisheries, and Parks website, there's a private landowner tab on there, I think, and there's all sorts of programs. They'll come out, send biologists out to do site visits, and you can get off as deep as you want to in what all's out there. So
now, we're professional burners. We got to burn it.
Hey, I don't know if you saw our dove field we burned, but we think we know what we're doing now.
We look like pros.
I've really been scared to burn those pines because we've got so much
undergrowth
and just needles piled up and hung up in trees, and they're thick and need thin, and then without bringing in a professional, we wouldn't know where to start.
Not in a safe manner anyway.
Yeah, that's right. Because
we light up them back pines. We're gonna make the news. Like y'all are gonna hear about it. Yeah.
Yeah, you may make your neighbors mad on that one. So.
Yeah, it'd be a little aggressive.
So what are you doing right now? Get ready for deer season. You got your fall plots in.
So we just actually finished that up Sunday. So we got all our fall food plots in. I know you guys were talking about what you got going on out here, and I know it's always kind of a finicky time of the year here in Mississippi. You're trying to
Catch a rain.
You're trying to get it in and catch a rain. You're fighting maybe army worms if you get it in too early, but you want to catch a rain when you can. It's a timing matter for sure. But we went ahead and got it done, and just like you guys, hoping we get a rain on them and they take off. So
what'd you plant this year?
I actually, the past few years I did you turned me on to the Delta plot mix. So I did that the past few years, and it's done great.
Revere seed. And
for the first time this year, the clover turned out so well. I actually managed it through the summer and sprayed it a few times, and it was killer throughout the summer. And there was one section or one food plot that I was able to just leave it. And I'm going to, I'm kind of testing it out, but I'm going to let it rock on and see what it does. So
it's good to have a diversity like that. 'Cause, you had something on the ground year round with that clover in there. That's why we like it. And that's what we're trying to put some more in. We've faced, the drought got ours bad here. You got it in some high sun areas, man, it beats it down. And then you can't keep the weeds out of it. So we end up having to put some more back in. But
I've definitely been more impressed with vetch than I have clover, just because the ease.
Summer.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's too easy.
You have to plant twice a year, but man, the vetch buckwheat combo they're still lush out there.
I was talking to a guy the other day, and he planted, I guess last year he planted cowpeas, and he's like, man, he says, man, I think I got worms. He says, man, they were looking good. He said, I went out there about 2 days later, and he said it was stalks. There was nothing left. I was like, man. I said, it wasn't worms. I said, I guarantee it was deer. And he's like, there's no way. Well, he put a camera out this year, and he said in one night, he said that camera would take pictures, and he said it filled the card up, and he said going out there next morning, it was stalks, gone, and it was nothing but deer.
For some reason, man, they wait on those peas. Have you ever planted them, Matt?
I have not. I have not.
They'll let them get up. You'll think you got peas waist high.
They'll look good.
Just be green, and then when they get right, the deer just decimate them, and then you don't have anything. That's why it's always good to have something in there with the peas.
I think he planted, it was like 5 acres. I mean, it was a good plot, but still, especially in North Mississippi, how population is, if you're not planting 30 or 40 acres, they're going to wipe it out just in a night or two. It ain't going to be nothing left.
That's where your cages come in handy. You can tell
what's going on.
Yeah, if it is actually army worms or something knocking it back.
That's right.
But if you got them cages out, that it's just.
I've seen you guys have put those out here, right? Yeah, I've seen that. I hadn't tried that. I'd be interested because same thing. I've had years to where I planted and thought, well, maybe I'm not having the best year, and you'd be, I'm always amazed at the deer pressure, what they can do to a food plot, and you just think that. Surely I don't have that many deer out here, but I'm always surprised. But yeah, those cages are a neat idea to see what's going on.
I mean, it's like last night. I got up this morning, was looking at cameras while I was drinking coffee, and got to looking, and I can't remember what camera it was on, but it was 3 does that stayed on camera for 2 hours straight, and they just stayed right there and ate, just fed on the vetch, and everything's out there, and they didn't move. And I mean, they're like lawnmowers. I mean, they don't check up.
They browse around, but they'll wipe something out.
Yes.
I mean, that's the one thing we figured we didn't have enough food for them. So when you got to get your population right. One, you got to work on that ratio, but then you got to have enough food for the amount of deer you want to hold on yours.
Have you had any type of herd analysis or anything like that, kind of giving you an idea what you got?
I haven't gotten into that yet. I sure haven't. Did y'all do something out here on that? Didn't y'all a couple years ago?
We've had biologists come out a couple times, and they just keep telling us to kill more deer.
Yeah.
It's always kill more deer. Y'all got way too many deer.
I think it's better this year. I mean, you can tell that by the summer plots. The summer plots are not struggling to keep up. That's the biggest thing. As the last 2 years, it was all you could do to keep up.
We did 39 acres of summer plots this year, though.
We got plenty of food out there.
Spread out over, both properties or whatever. So that was a big advantage to us getting that right. But we've noticed, man, the does with the yearlings we've seen, the fawns, man, they're so healthy. The does don't look stressed now, and it's all because of that food that we've had growing for them.
Oh,
we're not. You can't supplement here, in our county. I think you can. Can you in Panola?
No, I don't think so. I don't think you can.
So the only thing we got a choice is to grow or to kind of form or shape the natural browse for them too. And we try to do that too. We started that hinge cutting, trying to let undergrowth come up. We wanted honeysuckle. We wanted the briars. We wanted all that natural stuff that deer eat. And so that in conjunction with year-round food plots, it's doing so much for the health of our deer. I mean, it by seeing all these does that have twins, and they're super healthy. The bucks look good. The racks are improving.
Oh, some of them little fawns are little potbelly fawns. I mean, they're eating it up,
That's what I want to see. Because, I mean, for us, I mean, of course you're out here hunting, you want to shoot some deer, but it's more about having a piece of property, taking care of the property, building the habitat for the animals, and then you can enjoy it all the time. And it's not just deer. We've got turkey, we've got small game. You know, we kill doves here. So, it's a lot of fun having your own piece of land and being able to do that.
This is the first year we've held turkey year round.
Yeah.
You know, we usually
Turkey
get
living there.
Yeah, like we usually get them in the winter because the plots are there, and then every summer they're gone. You know, they're going to these
the next
cow
food source,
pastures where it's stuffing the troughs and everything else. So,
well, we started improving the nesting habitat too, and that was a big thing. Letting the areas grow up, keeping that. You know, we call it growing the wall just because that's the name of that seed blend that we get from Revere. But having all that stuff out there in the summer gives those birds refuge.
Right.
You know, they're safe from predators. They feel comfortable nesting in it. It gives a place for the little ones to hide when they do hatch. And we've seen drastic improvements. And you don't have to cut every field down all the way out to the edge. You know, if you can leave some habitat for them and kind of calculate how much food plots you do need versus the other cover and the transition zones. You're going from your woods to your fields to your, high grass areas. And I think that's a big thing that's been important for us too.
That's something. Somebody is looking for property just because they go out there and, well, that's not pretty. That don't mean it don't have deer or wildlife.
That's right.
Yeah, usually it's the exact opposite, and people want everything to look really nice, but
Manicured
usually
out.
to the eye that's not the best for the wildlife. So you got to kind of have a good plan there.
I had a good friend I used to work with. They had a piece down there in Como, and it was beautiful. I mean, all the pines were maintained. They were cut. I mean, you could get in one of them lanes on them pines and see 200 yards. And he's like, man, we used to have good deer hunting. He said, once we started doing that, and, planting Bermuda along the edges and clover, he's like, we lost our deer.
Yeah.
He said, they were gone. He said, it took us like 5 years to recover from all that and to get it back right. That
part scares me with thinning and prescribed burning the pines too, because where we are, we don't have a ton of pines, but I don't know how many acres it is. I would guess it's probably
20 or 30.
20 or 30 acres of pines, like planted pines, and they're thick. And probably never, I don't know if they've been, one group of them may have been thinned, but the others have never been thinned. And we see so many deer in and out of those pines that if it was, wide open where you could a little bit of underbrush growing or whatever thinned out, I don't think the deer would use it near as much.
But see, if we done the burning, it's going to burn so hot so fast, it's not going to kill most of us. It's just going to burn the leaves off, pine needles off the ground. I think it'll come back.
Yeah, I would say prescribed burning, it does have a good impact on wildlife. And I know for the turkey population, the turkeys love it. They'll come in immediately after. And it does allow for some of the undergrowth and dead vegetation and stuff to get that off, so new vegetation can come in, browse, things like that the deer like to eat on. So it will provide some of that as well. So it I would say it can be a good thing. But
I mean, you might have the first year you might say, well, it's not as much cover, so you're not going to see as much. But after that, I think
they come back.
Benefits are there.
And like you said, it's not gonna completely burn everything.
Yeah.
It won't be as clean as you would think it would be when you get done. It's really just going to burn off some of that dead undergrowth and things like that.
Did you burn yours this year?
I have not yet. I just enrolled for the program I was talking about, and that's another thing. Burning's kind of finicky. I've taken a class or two on it. And again, there's a lot of science that goes into that you don't think about to get the best quality burn you can, as far as wind speed and barometric pressure and humidity and all these things that these biologists take into account. And
we probably should have done that, Matt. We had a little different experience.
I didn't realize I watched the video that we just released. I didn't realize the wind was blowing it hard. It was moving some air.
We first were, it wouldn't on the side, it felt like, but it seemed like it come from that north side.
There for a minute, I looked up and I was like, ooh.
Y'all had Mikey nervous.
Oh, man, he didn't like it.
Y'all just get out there and do the old finger lick and, give it a go.
Yeah. We broke up some dirt around the track we were burning, and
we done it right.
Yeah, it was right. I mean, it worked, didn't it?
Yeah.
And Mikey's like slow dripping. Well, he turned and looked at Mark. Mark's got like a trail of flames behind
Y'all said
him.
we burning this field. We
had to get that back line going, didn't we, Mark? He got a good back line going.
Don't tell me to do something and get scared when I start doing it. Like, you tell me to do it, I'm going to do it,
Mark was committed.
100%. I burnt all the hair off my legs. I mean, it was
I
bad.
see Mikey with a drip torch and Mark with the full fledged, flame.
Give me a flame gun. We're good.
Oh, we had rats on fire running. I didn't think about that, Jamie, because you're sitting there. The rats were running across the dirt we had broke up, and one of them would have been really
One of them tails was still on fire.
Got over in the other field right there. We'd have burnt that whole field. They was sizzling
We
right
got to start putting them out when they run out.
Yeah, Jamie had
I put
those
a couple out.
I thought that was to put out flames if it got out of hand. That's for swatting rats.
Yeah.
That's the rat swatter.
Yeah.
You'd
But
be
it
surprised.
went off good, and
A little, I don't know, that field probably wasn't 3 or 4 acres. And how many rats ran out of it, man? I would hate to guess. We kind of talked about that before. How many rats are per acres in there?
Oh no, I see them all the time bush hogging.
Oh, it's
they're
crazy.
they're everywhere.
It's crazy.
I think I finally got mine in my air conditioning unit. I think I had.
Is he still?
He ain't been on camera lately.
Oh, 5.
But Mark's got one that's living in his air conditioner. He done put a
I put my security camera on the air conditioner. I've been watching him 2 weeks.
He's got traps set all around him where you can see him on camera too.
Well, the other night he come up and he set another one of the traps off, and it got him for a little bit. And he drug the trap out in the yard and finally got loose. I'm telling you, I think he's bench pressing. Like I think he's a pretty stout rat.
Are they glue trap? What kind of trap you got going?
These are them big old rat traps, like the big ones.
Snap ones?
Yes.
Oh, okay. That
So,
caught him and he got out of it.
He got out of it. So about 2 nights later, a big old tomcat comes strolling through there, and I think the tomcat finally got him because he ain't showed his face in a couple of days. So
Well, at least he didn't get in there and die or something.
Yeah.
You have to smell it in
blow
your air
through your AC,
conditioning.
but no, that's been my excitement.
So did y'all hunt some doves this year, Matt?
We did. We planted sunflowers for the first time. I think I talked to you about that.
Well,
so that
what was your take on it now that you did it? Was that what you go with every year?
Yeah,
or?
I think so. It was kind of a learning experience. We had a little bit better luck with it than I thought. At the time, I didn't have a plan or anything, so I kind of did it on a whim and just put it in a spreader, and I broadcast them out. And it actually, I wouldn't say they did as well had they, had I planted them because I had them so packed in there. But they turned out okay. I had a bunch of them. They just, they were, I'd say, medium-sized heads, but they all produced, and I think it turned. We had a better hunt, than we did the prior year when we just did millet, which that could be a multitude of factors. But
that's all I want to do, the millet. I got a buddy of mine that he swears by it. That's all I do every year.
The only thing that was tough on the sunflowers is I kind of, went cheap and just did the basic. You can get the Roundup ready and spend all you want to spend, but it was kind of tough keeping it clean or I really
Goat weed will get right in there.
Yeah, and I had that in there. And
how many times did you spray?
Well, so I didn't get the Roundup Ready version, so I wasn't able to spray after I planted. I think the best thing you can do in that case is just make sure you put down a good pre-emerge and just do the best you can there and get it prepped beforehand. And like I said, they make Roundup Ready sunflowers you could spray. But we were doing such a small area, I might do that next year. But they still turned out okay. And I will say with the millet, it was easier to manage just because it's so thick. You don't have to worry about a lot of
it. Chokes everything out.
Yeah,
quick.
so it's a little different. But I feel like the dove, like the sunflowers a little better. But
sunflower field, you ain't gonna beat the way it looks.
Yeah,
we did the year before last. We did millet and sorghum.
Yeah, millet,
and it did good. I mean, it left a lot of seeds on the ground, but it got. You could spray it. That was kind of our thinking for doing it, but the cost. It was so much. It was cheaper than sunflowers, but it was still just, it was still pretty expensive. And we went to wheat this year,
okay,
and just did a wheat field. So we'd let the wheat. We plant it this time of year, let it grow all year, and it heads out, does its thing, and you just got something on the ground where weeds can't really get in it because the wheat's established, it's fully mature. Then you come back, and that's when we burn it, and then you just come back and you can resow wheat into that, and you've got another field for next year. So it's just a year-round thing. But the reason why we did that is because now going into deer season, we'll have green wheat field.
Yeah.
And the deer use it too. So
I was amazed how well they used it.
You're getting double bang for your buck because you're going to get to hunt your birds and you're going to be able to hunt deer. We even saw turkey in it last year. So there's turkey in it too.
So we had a couple of nest up in it.
Yeah, nest
last
in the
spring.
wheat. Yep, this spring. So
y'all be honest, y'all really did that just so Mark could burn it at the end.
This is good burn practice. But we've got 2 of them going for next year to increase the size of our dove
I think
field,
I'm going to get me a drip torch so I can light my fireplace a little better at the house. That's a lot easier than an old aim flame.
Yeah, you can go to Harbor Freight. They got those that just attach to a propane bottle.
Man, I got them. I burn them up. They don't last real long.
Weed burner? Yeah.
I need
The little gun you got's pretty cool that takes the green bottles.
No, the one John Hogger's got's what's cool.
Got a flamethrower.
Shoots sure enough.
Yeah, that's like
flamethrower.
Stuff you see on the movie. Yeah.
What does he do with it?
We lit a pile of brush on
burned
fire.
some junk one night.
Plays with it.
Yeah, you put.
Just recreational use.
Yeah, recreational use.
I think it's straight gas. I don't think it's diesel.
I don't know. Them things, I didn't realize they was that expensive.
But it takes a battery. It's got a pump and a nozzle. And
Does it pressurize it some
yeah,
kind of
you
way?
squeeze the
Well,
trigger and you spray it 50, 60 feet.
Yeah, it's a for real flamethrower.
Wow.
It's pretty potent.
You could set some stuff on fire with that.
We wouldn't even have to walk the one side. We could just
You
go
shoot it
upwind and shoot it
across,
up the
yeah.
hill, Wouldn't be no big deal.
But I did break down after the season. If my wife's listening, I found a bargain on a 2-row planter that I broke down and got. So I'm excited to experiment with it next year. I maybe try running them through that planter and doing a few other.
We got to do something with the Howards.
We found a smoking deal on a 4-row and bought it.
Yeah.
Was it late? It was last year, wasn't it?
It was last year.
Early last year. And we didn't put it to the use yet. It's out there.
I just want to next tractor implement a do-all. That way, get the field, disc it, and then come back run a do-all, and it'll be smooth.
Prep,
it'll be
ready to
rough.
go.
Yep.
Which now that I'm getting the cedar figured out and kind of getting that cultipacker to do better, man, it smooths it up pretty dang
does
good.
good,
yeah.
It ain't gonna bust it up like a do-all will, but it's still pretty solid,
Yeah, we use a cultipacker and it works.
Mm-hmm.
It works a lot better than I thought. It's got teeth on it, and surprisingly, you can look when that stuff starts coming up. And
It's in rows.
Yeah.
It pushes it down.
Yeah, I was surprised how well it worked.
So we have one, but it's just 48 inches wide. It goes behind
that
us
one's,
side by side.
The cultipator. Yeah. It's still at my house. Yeah.
Yeah.
We got the one that's on the back of the cedar, and it does really well, but it's where you can adjust the height of it. And it don't matter how tight you tighten it, you start running it, it just slides, So I'm going to make some key stock to put in there to where it'll hold it.
So does the do-all have that a packer on the back of it too?
So do-all is going to be like a spiral blade.
Looks like a rotary, like a reel mower.
And it's going to break your clods up. And then behind it, it's kind of like a hair rod. It'll be a rod with spikes on it, kind of flats it out. And then some of your older ones behind that, they have like a board. It kind of
smooths it back down.
Smooth it back down.
Yeah.
They do. I mean, some of the new ones you can buy, it'll be like the the reel at the front, and it will have a cultipator at the back. But like I say, it's all most of that's going to be newer equipment.
Can you pull it behind the disc, or you got to come back over it?
You come back over it.
Well, if you could hook that up behind your disc and do it all at the same time,
They do make it like that.
Yeah, they do.
I've seen it where you use the third function on hydraulics, and it's on the hydraulic, and you drag the cultipator down behind the disc.
Yeah.
Food plots turning around in tight quarters, it'd be too much.
Especially on your smaller plots. That's been the biggest thing for us. Like, I don't know, do you do small plots, or do you try to do like big field?
We've got, our biggest food plot's probably 5-6 acres. And initially I liked, the pool type implements, but I've kind of changed my thinking on that. I've kind of, the 3-point seemed to work a little bit easier as far as getting turned around in tight spots and things like that. I mean, they're a little bit more of a pain to hook up, obviously, but they work well in small plots.
That tiller is slow, but the small plots, it can be knee-high grass, and you go over it one time, you got it filled up. And that is the advantage yet versus a disc, but bigger plots, that disc definitely faster and cover more ground quicker for sure.
All right, Matt. We got to talk about cooking.
I don't know if y'all integrated that in.
We always talk about eating now.
We're always eating while we're here.
So what's your go-to recipe wild game?
Oh, man. I mean, it's hard to beat anything bacon wrap with cream cheese and jalapeno. I mean, I just did something. We were talking about, dove hunting, and this Saturday watching football, I did some just kind of debone the dove breast and wrapped it with bacon and threw some cream cheese and a little slice of jalapeno off in there. I mean, it's
a solid
basic,
go-to,
but it works.
It's a never fail. That's for sure.
The only thing about it, they take forever to prep. That's not my favorite part, but eating them is fun. So
I then started cheating on all the bacon wrap instead of doing each individual one. I just got a metal skewer and I'll just slide them all on.
Yeah, that's what I did on these. I could fit 5 or 6 on one skewer. That way you're not out there flipping, each one of them. But
we need some Buck Junkies game recipe ideas. We kind of picking your brain on it.
Yeah.
Man, I saw a bunch this week. So Mikey's not here with us today. He's out. I guess Matt set in. We had to have somebody set out. So
we got Mikey working.
He's out working on. I don't know what he's working on. Maybe he's unloading.
Bush hogging.
Is he bush hogging? finally got that walk-in came in we ordered, so we're going to be putting that together. We might try to get a video on that, but we got us a walk-in where we can age deer.
Okay.
We're going to put it out behind the shop out there.
So if anybody's listening to this and you have a walk-in cooler, what is your rack system or how you go about hanging deer? We
Definitely need some insight on that.
We're trying to do a lazy man way, where one man can do it and not have to work as hard.
We just need one of them plastic wheelbarrow meat lugs like they use at like processors.
Yeah.
You know, the
you
plastic
still
tub.
Get it
Still
up
gotta hang it
on some
up.
kind of rack inside the cooler.
Yeah.
That's what we got to come up with.
We're trying to kick around a couple ideas on what's the
But we'll talk.
easy way to keep the deer from getting dirty or nasty.
Yeah, you don't want to drag them on dig them ground, going from
Probably
skin
just
to
I'm
rack.
almost thinking about cording it up just in portions and
Put it on like
laying
a
it on
shelf
racks.
rack.
Yeah. That way it's easier to manage.
I kind of want to hang. I mean, I'd like to see what it's like compared. Be able to hang one, let it sit there. For,
See if there's a comparison between a quartered up dry age versus a complete deer dry age.
Do you hang? Do you ever get to hang your deer anywhere?
I don't have a walk-in cooler or anything like that, but I was saying surely you can find a welder around here to build you a rack.
Oh, we got a heck of a fabricator in our back
We're
pocket.
just
That
trying
ain't
to
no
figure out a
problem.
way
put it
to
on some wheels and
go from the hanging up on skinning rack in the shop, going from there to the walk-in cooler. You know, like I guess you hold the deer over your head, tote it out. I don't know. You know,
yeah.
Get some of them outlaw wheels put on like a regular rack, to really just a ramp where you can roll it right out the shop up into the cooler. Roll it right in.
need a trolley system or something.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
That's
Find
what
your
we
little
could
pulley
do
system.
is have him make 3 or 4 like carts like that you hang them on that. So you roll the whole cart out there after you dress it, hang it, and then it's hung and you roll it back in the walk-in.
Stick it
Yeah,
in
that's
there.
not a bad
Stick it
idea.
in.
I've seen them done out of the like galvanized gas pipe a guy did, and it worked great. But you still got to have 2 people to
Figure out how to hang
Hoist
it.
it up on it. Yeah.
we
You need something like that, or a transfer rail system where you could just slide it down the hook on the rail to where to go right in the cooler.
We're gonna figure out
We're gonna figure it out.
might not be the best way, but it's gonna be the easiest way.
Yeah. Well, Mikey comes back next week. We're going to tell y'all. We hadn't really talked about. We went to Mossy Oak. They had was it Mossy Oak Properties? They sponsored. It was called the Foxhole Shootout. It was a charity event last week down in West Point for St. Jude and Catch a Dream. They had all these chefs in there cooking all this wild game. I mean, I saw quail, lamb. They killed a wild boar. They were doing oysters. They were doing fresh caught salmon. They were doing all kinds of stuff there. It was amazing, but we'll talk about that last week. And then me and him jumped in the truck and drove all the way to Springdale, Arkansas and went to the World Squirrel Cook-Off. So we got to talk about that next week. And I tried 17 different squirrel dishes. So we'll have some squirrel recipes to talk about.
So I know you told me you had a really good one.
Yeah,
Did you have a really bad one?
Not bad like as in taste, but bad as in you couldn't bite it off the bone.
Yeah.
Like tough. They didn't know how to get it tender or they ran out of time or something. But y'all went up to Illinois and cooked the contest. What'd you do up there? What'd y'all do up there?
We walked the dog. What we
We
done?
had a good weekend.
We
Very good
did. We had a good weekend. We left Thursday, met our good buddy Jay Craig and his son, and a couple other guys met us up there, and we cooked Praise the Lord, which is one of our favorite contests, and it's
Murfreesboro,
Illinois. They the cool thing about it is everybody wants their trophies. They're hand blown glass apples, and they start from about that big to about that big, and then they got a hand carved.
One of them up there.
Yeah, one of them up there, matter of fact. But they have a hand carved wooden pig for the grand champ, and it's kind of. It ain't, to me, it's not nearly as pretty or cool as the glass apple. It's kind of rustic and it's kind of rough looking. I was like, man.
I mean, I'll trade you an apple for the pig.
No, I like my pig now.
I think I'd want the pig too.
The pig I'm glad we got the pig. So we ended up finaling in hog and ribs, and we actually took first place in hog and ribs and won the whole thing. And we were pretty excited. It was a good weekend. So
that was an awesome contest. 17th Street Barbecue does a great job putting that on. Shout out to Amy.
Oh, they give
Everybody
you
up there.
like the gift basket. It's probably 100 pounds, and they upped it again this year. I don't forget how many different whiskeys was in there. I gave you one of the bottles of whiskey.
Yeah.
Jamie went and bought out the whole apple butter store. I don't know how much he spent on apple butter.
Yeah,
Apple butter.
Man, that is so good. My wife loves it. So
It ain't nothing but extra cinnamon applesauce is all it is.
But
Yeah,
man, so
extra brown sugar and cinnamon.
Yeah,
and
it's
some
good,
applesauce.
though.
It
It's
is
good.
me and our buddy Luke, we got in the minivan and we rode 2 miles down the road, went to the shop. I think we probably bought $100 worth of stuff when we was in there.
So I got something for you to try on your next Buck Junkie video. Apple butter pork chops.
I got some apple butter.
I used to do it on ribs. When you wrapped them, you coat the top of them with just glaze it on top and put some butter in there and let it cook down while it tenderizes them, and it makes a glaze.
I'll do that. I'll make some
flavor
apple
comes
butter
through.
biscuits.
I need y'all when you do your squirrel video, I just have one request. If y'all could do a little cleaning series before that.
So at the squirrel cook-off, that was a contest they had, was the fastest squirrel, who could skin a squirrel the fastest. And it's on, we just put it on Facebook. It's over on the How to Barbecue Right channel. There's a little glimpse of it, but
It's a trick to that too.
them jokers were
I went on a
rolling.
hunt. I guess been since I was a squirrel hunt since I was a kid, and went on a hunt with dogs last fall, which I'd never done. That was really neat.
That is fun.
And we killed a few, so I thought, I'll take these back and clean them. And I had fur. I thought I was going to have to throw them away. And you would think you could just rinse it off if you get any on there.
It's like glue.
It does not come off. I don't know how you
You
always
got
did
to cut him across his anal vent, and then step on his tail and grab his hind legs and pull him all the way up. And then that other piece of meat pulls right, that other piece of skin. You just get your fingers in there, pull it down, and all of it, and clip it with some shears, and it's off.
That's how my dad
It's
did it.
fast.
It's another one of those things that sounds so easy.
don't
And then you just split it up and pull the guts out, and he ain't got no hair on him.
So how did any guys other you like? We went with Darren to Hardin Point. All them guys got the hooks. You hook them in and dress them.
Nobody did that. They were all at like a folding table. So that's,
Well, I seen that. It was one guy. I just seen a glimpse of video, and man, it looked like the squirrel hit the table and he held his hand.
That was the dude that won. That
guy was
But
seconds.
they had 3 rounds, so you basically race some. You'd love it, Mark, 'cause you race somebody, and you got to beat them. It don't matter how fast you do it. You just got to beat the next guy. Then you go to the next round, and they worked it all the way down to one person.
Man, I'd be done cut my finger smooth
That
off
one
or
guy,
something.
man, I'm telling you, he was lightning fast.
Oh, there's some people that just they clipped the feet off, and then they pinched around the body right in the middle, and they just grabbed it like this and pulled it both directions and skin them.
So you
I've never seen that.
You got to go to the gym before squirrel season.
Yeah.
So
We need it. So squirrel season, I guess it opens. It opens in October.
October 1st.
Yeah. So we may have to get a little impromptu squirrel hunt, do some skinning videos for you, man.
all I know is after last week, y'all got me in more trouble talking about eating squirrel brains. My
Really?
mother-in-law, Missy Boyd, got on to me. I'm talking about sent my wife text, do not eat no squirrel brains. They cause
What?
mad squirrel disease or something. I don't know what it was,
It's
but
like eating cow brain. Getting
yeah, I guess so. Boy, she's like, and she was serious.
folks really do it. Now I didn't see nobody. Luckily, when I judged, nobody said.
Oh, I wish that'd been hilarious.
I wouldn't. I don't know.
Yeah,
If I
that'd
could
been one
done
dish you wouldn't have tried, I'm sure.
There was some of it you didn't know because they said it's like squirrel balls.
That's
I
the
was
thing.
like,
As a judge, can you just pass on it?
I mean, you're
I'm
supposed to
good.
give it a fair shake, but if it was a brain sitting there, I'd have a hard time.
just do the appearance score and move on.
I don't know.
I don't know how you give that a good appearance score.
I mean,
Like,
Well, that's
my
true, too.
papa's ate a bunch of squirrel brains.
I always thought they
never
made you
done it.
smarter.
Yeah.
So talk about cooking the whole hogs. Did y'all ever eat the eyeballs?
I've ate
the temple. I've never messed with the eyeball.
it's creamy.
Creamy.
I've ate it.
So we go to the lake with some friends, and they cook a whole hog down there a couple times a year. And there's a girl there that every time she goes and digs those eyeballs out and eats them.
Sometimes I've seen people
I'm
pop
out.
them. Just
We did have a lady up there come across, like you're on where we're at, right across the streets is like a housing place, and it was a lady. She said, and she caught me off guard. She said, "What are y'all doing with the snoot?" And I'm like, "Excuse me, I don't know what you're talking about. The snoot." She said, "Yeah, the snoot." I'm like, "The head?" I said, "We're gonna throw it away." She said, "Oh Lord, no, don't throw that thing away." Well, we carried it. We carried her the head, the feet, backbone,
And the tail.
and
No, man, that old
she wanted the rooter and the tutor.
that tail there, it had a big old tail on him now.
And so she said something about some charcoal. Well, I'm like, this lady's probably in her late 70s, early 80s. I couldn't imagine her like, I went over there, me and Brian and Alec. She had a grill about that big around sitting on the front porch, and she was cooking
The head.
feet, and all that stuff on this little grill. She's talking about she run out of charcoal. I'm like, yeah, no, I couldn't.
See, I would like somebody that really did know how to. I would love to try like legit hog head cheese, like not this stuff you see in the meat counter when you go to the gas. I'm talking about like real homemade.
That's the same thing as South, correct?
Yeah,
I had some. Matt brought me something of some made. You don't want to try it.
Man,
man. So
My mom, I took that to my mom and dad, and I want you to know they said that was the best. It reminded my dad of his papaws that he used to make. He said this is legit old country.
see, that's what I would
hog
like to
cheese.
try.
So the last time me and Jeanette, which
We were a little blue around the gills at Memphis and May too, so I didn't want to push my limits.
we went to Jackie and Kenny's down in Louisiana, and the guy down there's got a meat market. And he makes it pretty much fresh, and it was. I'm talking about that and crackers. It was really
Some
good.
hot sauce. That's all you need.
I'd like to try it, but
I can make that happen.
I don't know
Mark.
about my granddad used to always get from Mr. Roberts, a gas station. I don't know about no gas station sauce, but my granddaddy always got it.
I've tried it one time at a gas station.
You wasn't a fan?
No, it
If you knew what was all in it, you might not want to eat it. But
it ain't no worse than a hot dog. It's just a hot dog deconstructed is all it is.
It's got everything from Rooter to Tooter in it, too.
It might have, it's got that in it, yeah.
No, they start at the Rooter.
Just a terrible name. It just sounds terrible. South. I mean,
yeah.
You never tried it?
I have not.
Oh.
I'm out on South.
It kind of looks like
Rotted meat. I'm not.
What about Venus, man?
No, I hadn't had one. I hadn't had those since I was a kid. We
I got
talked
a
about
case
those
of
at the
them over
office
there.
recently.
We'll
I
break
love
some
them.
for lunch.
Michael got 4 cases over in the house. I mean, what flavor you want?
You're expected to take a can of Venus to the deer stand with you.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Or some potted meat and Doritos.
Put them on a
Potted meat
saltine.
Doritos is
Potted
my
meat
go-to.
Doritos.
I ain't never done that.
Cool Ranch Doritos and potted meat, man, it's fine.
Good combo.
Blood pressure go right on up.
Well, Matt, man, we appreciate you coming in and talking to us about the land bank, everything y'all do, helping folks out.
Yeah.
Tell folks where they can find you. If they're in the area or if they're not in the area, they can tell them what they can do.
Yeah, so of course we're on all the social media platforms, and then our website, just mslandbank.com. And then, like I said, that for any listener, it doesn't matter where you're at. Farmcredit.com. If you're looking for a local lender, find farmcredit.com. It's an easy website. You can go in and type in your county, and it'll pull up at least one office or maybe even multiple offices that can help you out. And but yeah, it was exciting. It's the first time I've ever been on a podcast, so I appreciate you guys letting me come out.
Yeah,
We're professionals.
Yeah, I can
if
tell.
you didn't know it, we're
I can
professional.
tell. I was a little nervous coming in. So
Well, Mark, you want to take us on
I don't know if I can
today?
follow that. He closed out pretty dang good,
Pretty
didn't
dang
he?
good for being the first time.
Me and Mikey might get booted out.
Yeah. Well, y'all know where to find us. BuckJunkies.com on all the platforms. As always, we appreciate y'all listening. If y'all got any questions, let us know. Shoot a message. We're always looking for new topics. You name it. And hopefully should have some content coming out in the next couple of weeks. And
again, if anybody's interested in a handicap punt, reach out to us on Buck Junkies or email some of us, and we'll get you all the information you need and get that squared away for you.
All right. Well, hey, we'll be back next week. We're going to talk about squirrel cook-offs and
get a
what
freezer
else.
put together.
There you go. Putting the freezer together. We'll see y'all. We gone.